So today we're going to do the second half of the lesson on trigonometric ratios. We're actually going to use a calculator in order to find some trigonometric ratios. And the first thing that you need to know is that your calculator has something called a mode. Most operations that you guys have ever done on a calculator, it doesn't matter what mode the calculator is in, and it just automatically does it for you. But for the purposes of trigonometric ratios, you need to have your calculator in what's called degree mode, where it says DRG on most calculators. Some calculator brands are slightly different, but that's sort of shortcut for degree mode. And so once you turn your calculator on, you're going to see this little DEG really small right here. Okay? If for some reason it says something other than DEG, you can hit this DRG button and it'll change the mode. You can arrow over to radians or gradients and make sure it's on degree mode. Most calculators come in that mode and they default back to that mode, but if for some reason you are getting weird answers and it's not making sense, check the mode and make sure it's in degree mode. All right? So we are going to calculate some trigonometric ratios on your calculator. So for example, number 1, we're simply going to round to the nearest hundredth with a TH on the end, okay, not hundreds, but hundredths, which means you're going to be given a decimal. Usually there's a number out front. It could be 0, it could be 1, it could be 2, it could be any large number. And then you'll have 2 numbers after the decimal. So the first number is considered the tenths. The second number after the decimal is considered the hundredths. And so that's how many places. But you actually have to look to the third spot. Whatever number here is going to determine whether this number stays the same or whether it rounds up. Okay? So we're going to find the sine of 52 degrees. And our answer, we're going to round to the nearest hundredth. So we're going to put a wavy equal sign to show that we're rounding. Okay, so make sure your calculator is in degree mode, and then you're going to hit the button that says sine. Looks like it says the word sin, but that's sine. Then you type in 52, close your parentheses, hit the equal sign, and you've got this big, long decimal. We don't want you to write the whole thing. We just want you to go to the nearest hundredth. So that's 2 numbers. Right now, there's a 7 and an 8 there, right? So it's either going to say stay an 8, or it's going to round up to a 9. So we look to the third number that will determine. If it's 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, it rounds up. If it's 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4, it stays the same. So is it going to stay or round up? Round up. So this is approximately equal to 0.79. Anybody not sure how I got that number? All right, let's try another one. We're going to find the cosine of 19 degrees. So clear the last one out of your calculator. And this time you're going to hit the cosine button, type in the 19 degrees, close your parentheses, and then hit the equal sign. This time, after the decimal, we've got a 9 and then a 4, so it's either going to stay a 4 or round up. Right next to it is a 5, so in this case, it's going to round up, so we're going to write 0.95. Anybody not sure how I got that number? All right, now let's try tangent of 65 degrees. So clear the old one out of there, type in tangent. type in 65, close your parentheses, hit the equal sign. This time, we've got a number in front of that decimal other than 0, so we're going to write down 2 points, and then we have 1 4, and next to that first 4 is another 4, so it's going to stay 2.14. Any questions on example number 1? Pretty easy, right? So some of the questions on your assignment are as easy as you typing it into your calculator, just like that. All right? Example number 2. We're going to start off with a right triangle. We'll call that vertices C and give the other 2 angles A and B. Down at angle B here, we're going to have 15 degrees. And over here, this side AC is going to be 10.2 feet. And the directions are for us to find BC. Okay? So right now, if you go to the side BC, there's nothing labeled there. So what should we put there? An X. All right? That's where X is going to go. All right? So whatever side you're missing, and if that's what they want you to find, put an X there. All right? So we're going to see which of the 3 trig functions we want to use to help us solve for this side right here. Okay? So we're going to start with angle B. Why? Because it's already labeled 15 degrees. We can't use the right angle. We have to use one of the other 2. Okay? So from angle B, we have this side over here that's labeled 10.2 feet. Is that opposite, adjacent, or hypotenuse? So from B over to 10.2, is it opposite, adjacent, or hypotenuse? Opposite. So right over here, I'm going to write OPP, opposite, short for opposite. And then the side we want to find right here that we labeled with an X, is it opposite, adjacent, or hypotenuse? This one's adjacent, so I'm going to write ADJ for adjacent. And then I'm going to remember from Friday, which of the 3 trig functions uses opposite and adjacent? So remember, there was the shortcut, the little, yes, it's tangent. So we're going to say that tangent is opposite over adjacent. Since we have an angle measure of angle B right here, we're going to say that this is the tangent of 15 is equal to the measurement that's on the opposite side, so the 10.2, over the adjacent side, the one we want to solve for, which is X. So we've set up an equation using the trig ratio tangent. We want to solve for X. So we want to get X by itself. Right now it's in the denominator, which is the trickiest spot. In order to get it out of there, we're going to multiply both sides by X so that over here they will cancel out. And then over here, we're going to divide both sides by tangent of 15. And they'll cancel out over here, and we're left with X being equal to 10.2 over the tangent of 15 degrees. Guess what we can do with that? We can type that in the calculator, and it'll spit out an answer for us. So you take your calculator, clear out whatever was in there before, make sure it's in degree mode, and then go 10.2, divide it by the tangent of 15. Make sure you close that parentheses, hit the equal sign, and here we go. We're going to round to the nearest hundredth. So I have 38 in front of the decimal. All of that we want to keep. And then after the decimal, I have 0, 6. But next to that 6, I have another 6, which means I need to round up to 7. So I have that side of the triangle is approximately 38.07, and this one was measured in feet. Okay, so if this side over here is 10.2, would it make sense that this side over here is 38.07 feet? Yeah, that's pretty, seems about right. Okay, let's do another example like that. So this time, we're going to draw, this will be example number 3. Triangle going this way. So this is our right angle up here. That'll be Q. And the other 2 vertices over here will be P. Over here will be R. Let me give you some values. All right. So angle P right here is going to be 63 degrees. And this side down here, RP or PR, is 12.9 centimeters. And this time, the directions are for us to find the length of QR. So if we're asked to find QR, we go over to that side and we write a what? An X. Fill in our variable X so we can put it into our trigonometric equation. And so we're going to use this angle right here. Why? Because it's already labeled for us. And then from that angle, we have this side that's 12.9. Is that opposite, adjacent, or hypotenuse? Looks like it's adjacent, but it's opposite that 90-degree angle, which makes it the what? Hypotenuse. Okay, so that side is the hypotenuse. And then over here, this side that's labeled X is the what? Opposite. So we've got opposite and hypotenuse. Which trig function uses opposite and hypotenuse? Sine, right? Sine is going to be equal to the opposite over the hypotenuse. From the trigonometric ratios that we learned on Friday, right? So we're going to say the sine of 63 degrees is equal to the opposite, that side over there we don't know, X, over the hypotenuse, this side over here we do know, 12.9. And we have our equation set up. Okay, we want to get X by itself. Right now that X is being divided by 12.9, so we just need to multiply both sides by 12.9. Over here, they'll cancel, and we'll just be left with X, which is what we want. Good. And then over here, looks super complicated, but all we need to do is take that and plug it into our calculator. So here's what it looks like on the calculator. Clear it out. Make sure you're in degree mode. And then you're going to type 12.9 times, and then we're going to hit the sine of 63 degrees. Make sure you close those parentheses. Hit the equals. And I've got 11 point, and then after the decimal, 49. But next to the 9 is a 3, so it's going to stay. So I'm going to change this to a wavy equal sign, right? It's going to be 11.49, and this one is in centimeters. If you want to change that around, you can say X is approximately 11.49 centimeters.